Let me start with a quick story. So, um, I a few years ago, I had moved from New York City. I was working with L'Oreal, the makeup company. I was working in their hair care brand department, which, needless to say, or maybe not needless to say, depending, it just wasn't a fit for me. It wasn't a fit. I wasn't meant for the hair care industry, um, as you can see. So what I did was I left New York and went to Spokane, Washington, and started a company, a digital marketing agency. I didn't know anyone there. No, nobody. I moved there. Like if you just move to a new place, and I mean, moving to a new place is hard enough with a job, but moving to a new place with like absolutely no context and owning your own business and doing local digital marketing was like I didn't know what to do. So I had to come up with a shortcut. I had to figure out how am I going to shortcut the years and years of me trying to build relationships and all this stuff. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all
Can
yeah.
you see the smiley
The
face
smiley
there?
face.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so I moved to Spokane. I didn't know anyone. So I was like, and at the point at the time I didn't really know what I was doing. All I knew is that I needed to get clients and I needed to figure out how to get some revenue coming in, right? So there's a few things that I did. I did a lot of cold email initially, and I figured out a really, really good cold email strategy that just like made me it like launched my business. Um, but then I needed reoccurring business coming in. I didn't want to do cold emails. So what I did is I started looking at um, all of the businesses that solve problems before mine, solved problems that I didn't solve, and solved problems that were created after a company worked with me. Okay. And so I started calling up a bunch of people, video marketing agencies. I called up logo designers, people that were really specific niche. Um, and I met with, I made two connections out of these calls. One was a wonderful guy named Frank Swoboda who owned a video marketing agency. The other one was another wonderful guy I met named Ben Tran, and he did logo design. And I met with these guys, and what I found was that companies come to them with like a video, they come to them and they need like a logo design, but that's all they provided. And they had clients constantly asking them, all right, you delivered this great product for us. How do we get this video out into the world? How do we get views on the video? And the video agency would be like, we don't really know. Like that's not our thing. And Ben Tran would say, he did logos, and they would say, well, we got this great logo now. How are we going to get more people into our business, right? And Ben's like, I don't know. I just do your logo. So so what would happen is these companies would just kind of like recommend people that they saw online because they didn't want to seem like they didn't want to not help their customers. And a lot of times the people they would recommend were just not very good. Like you would just say, hey, call Joe. He has an agency down the street. Um, and they go work with Joe and it wouldn't be a good experience. And they come back and say, hey, do you know someone else? That wasn't a very good experience. Um, and I didn't realize all this at the time. Like this is not. I just were calling these guys up and saying, "Hey, I noticed you do logo design. I'm looking to refer business to you if I have clients that are looking for logos, and vice versa. If you guys have clients that are looking for marketing or whatever, um, I can help." So what I did was I went into both Frank Swoboda's and Ben Tran's businesses, and I said, "Let me just do some work for you for free. Let me just show you what I can do." And I got Ben Tran like ranked like number one on Google for like logo design Coeur d'Alene because that's where we were at. And the same thing with like Frank Swoboda, his agency. Um, I took one of their clients and I got them a bunch of views on YouTube. I paid like a couple $100 and got a bunch of views on YouTube, and their clients were like ecstatic. So I delivered results, right? They knew I could deliver results, um, and I kept in contact with them. And over time, what happened was whenever somebody contacted Ben or Frank, they would say and ask them for marketing, you'd say, you got to talk to Aaron. And they would just send business to me. Just They would just send it. I wouldn't have to ask it. I didn't have to like push them. And I just gave him a check. I remember walking into Ben Tran's office once a month with a physical check, and I would say, Ben, here's your check for the reoccurring work that I'm doing for the clients you sent over. Dude, and he loved it. He'd be sitting in his office designing logos, and I'd come up with a check, and he'd turn around and be like, "Is that a check for me? Is that my check? Is that my monthly check?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's your monthly check, man, for doing nothing. Just here's the money, you know." And I realized that it was such a great relationship, such an amazing relationship. The problem that I ended up having was that I got too much business, and I realized that I didn't really want to run an agency anymore. I realized that I took on too many clients and I couldn't deliver, and it wasn't scalable. So that business kind of failed. But the big win from that was realizing that there are people out there who have built pools of your ideal customers who want to solve more problems for them, but don't want to go through the effort of having to come up with their new product or service, right? This may seem super obvious to you, right? This is what partnerships is. In the internet marketing world and like the online marketing world, I have the impression, especially with SaaS, it doesn't matter where you're at in your business. If you're a startup, an agency, a software company, if you're a product as a service, if you're B2B, it doesn't matter. Most people think of partnerships and they could kind of think of affiliate programs where it's like, hey, I'm going to get a bunch of affiliates, and the affiliate army is like the quote, and they're going to go promote my tool for me. They start an affiliate program. They say, hey, do you want to promote my product? And the partners are like, yeah, I want to promote it. And then, they send out hundreds of affiliate links, and like nobody's promoting their product. And they're like, why? Partnerships don't work, or they're thinking affiliate partnerships don't work, or whatever. And that's a big mistake, because if you do this right, you will have your product or service built into somebody else's sales flow, and they will send you leads and customers all the time. And I've proven this over and over again with my business. I've proven it with companies I've consulted with. It is not. Let me rub some shiny off of it though. It's not like it's not the end all be all solution to your growth challenges. Okay, it is a strategy that you can implement and continue to dedicate time to, that over time will deliver huge results for you. Just imagine if you got one partner a month for a year, right? Having 12 partners could make a massive impact if they just set a few leads a month, right? Depending on, sometimes it might be a few hundred, just a few, depending on what your price point is and all that kind of stuff, right? So in fact, it was so easy when I was in Spokane that I thought, this is too easy. There's got to be a harder way for me to do this. And I thought, I can't do the partnerships anymore because it's not really building a real business. It's like, it's too easy for me. I got to do it the hard way. So let me run some ads. Ads didn't work. I tried to do networking and networked for like years at like the local networking place. Didn't give me any business. I never went back to that strategy, and I like kicked myself for it because it was so easy. And I convinced myself somehow it was immoral for it to be this easy to grow a business. So if you get this right, that's what you're going to feel like, hopefully. But just know that it's not immoral, and it's a fantastic way to grow your business. Now, there's multiple types of partners. Okay. Like I talked about, there's affiliate partners, there's channel partners, there's consultants that they'll do is they'll go out and meet with people, and they'll say, all right, you need this guy, you need this guy, you need this guy, and they'll refer you to him. What I want to talk about today is called integration partnerships. Now, the reason I like integration partnerships so much is because you put a lot of effort into it at the beginning, and then once it's set up, it pretty much runs automatically. You don't have to do a lot of maintenance to it. And your partner doesn't have to do any maintenance to it. And if you do this right, every time somebody buys or interacts with your partner, they will be introduced to you. And there's tons of really good examples of this. eBay and PayPal is one great example. PayPal was built just for eBay. It was a payment processor. eBay didn't want to build a payment processor, so they partnered together. and everybody started trusting PayPal because they were buying stuff from eBay, right? That's how PayPal grew. If you look at Apple, Apple's another good example. A really good example of integration partners for Apple is they don't use, like, for the first few years they were using Samsung chips in their phones. Apple was using Samsung chips in their phone because they didn't have the capability to create those chips. Okay, that's like when I first heard that, I was like mind blown, because when you think of Apple, you think integration, you think everything is done in house. But I don't know if this is totally accurate, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Apple products, or some Apple products, who still have Samsung parts in it, and even their computers up to a while ago were Intel computers, right? So they weren't even creating their own processors. So that's a great example of integration marketing. Whenever an Apple computer is built, if somebody buys 10 million Apple computers, Intel gets 10 million orders for chips. They didn't have to do a thing. They didn't have to do the marketing. I mean, they had to build the relationship, right? But it's so great once you get a few of these really good ones. Microsoft and IBM too is another good. I'm not going to go into details of that, but Steve Jobs made a brilliant decision by getting Microsoft on all IBM computers. So that's kind of the goal for us. And my suggestion is having somebody or some time dedicated to these integration partnerships every week, trying to just nurture them, trying to find them and build them. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you really, in like a super basic, how to find these integration partners, how to approach them, and then how to integrate into their product. Okay. So the first thing you have to realize is that there are businesses out there who are, there's a few criteria of the perfect integration partner. One is that they know they have more assets than time. They have unleveraged assets that they cannot leverage, and they don't have the time or resources to do it. So in other words, they're very resourceful. There are some people who say, I don't want to sell anybody else's product. I only want to sell my product. I don't want you to get access to my list. I don't want to promote your stuff. It's all going to take away from my stuff. My. I'm not like poo-pooing on that. Like that's fine. And I think when you're starting, you need to have kind of that mentality where I need to build up my product. But there comes a point where you have so many resources and unleveraged assets that you can't leverage them all. And guess what? That is a huge pain point that you may not even realize. You're like Squarespace. They have millions and millions of customers. Is Squarespace going to go out and do product photography for their e-commerce shops? Well, they probably could, right? But that's like a whole nother market. It's a whole nother thing. So partnering with someone who already does that makes way more sense to them. They have teams at some level in a company. It gets big enough, and the executives get resourceful enough. They realize we need to bring in somebody to manage the partnerships because we cannot do this. So that's a good sign that somebody will be a good partner for you, is if they have somebody who's doing partnerships, who's running partnerships, head of partnerships at XYZ. Okay, because that's their job, is to like leverage the assets they're not being leveraged. And they don't solve every problem. So I can't really think of a company who solves every single problem that they're, like if you go to an accountant, they don't solve all of your money problems. They solve one specific part of your problems, right? So they solve one problem really, really well, but they also understand that when that problem is solved, it creates a new set of problems for their customers that they do not solve. They also realize that if those new set of problems don't get solved, they might lose that customer, which is another big pain point. I can name 100 different examples. I'll go back to Squarespace. Squarespace promises a beautiful, amazing, fast, easy website. You can build it with just, no design skill. All right. What is the new set of problems that you have with Squarespace? And I don't know, guys. You want to do like an interaction type of thing here? I feel like I just don't like talking and talking too much. I get tired of my hearing my own voice.
This
Do you
is
mind if
really
we do
good,
some?
man. This is
Do you mind if we do some interactions?
we can do that if you want to. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So let me ask you, like, what is the new set of problems that someone has when they have the perfect, beautiful website? Pricing is perfect. What is the new set of problems they have?
They need some customers.
They need customers, right? All right. And okay. So what if they don't get customers? What happens? What
Then
happens
the
to this
business
beautiful
dies.
site
No one sees it.
they're paying $97 a month for,
Mm.
right? No one sees it. No sales. They get discouraged. And then what's going to happen when all this happens and they're not making any revenue? What's going to happen to this Squarespace subscription?
They shut it down.
They shut it down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing: is Squarespace delivered their promise perfectly. They did not lie to the customer. They didn't. Well, they could. If Squarespace said build a store and make $1 million a year, and they only delivered the website, then that's not fulfilling on their promise. But if that's not Squarespace's promise. It's come to us and we'll help you build an easy website that you can sell your products from. Anybody can sell their products from. But the problem is if they don't sell, then sometimes the customer blames Squarespace. It says, hey, I got this website with Squarespace. I didn't get any sales. Squarespace is the worst. Okay, which makes absolutely no sense. But if people don't think about it that way, like it's an emotional thing. What they hear is what Squarespace is saying is, we'll help you build a website that gets you sales. What they hear is, I'm going to build a website, and then as soon as I'm done, sales are going to start coming in, right? And so you can't control what they choose to believe, but you can control. You can look ahead and see what are the problems that they're going to have, and how can we preempt those problems. So a company like Squarespace, and even really, really small. I mean, I'll give you a personal example. Like my group, I have a group of 30,000 SaaS founders. There is no way in the world I'll ever be able to monetize or value or leverage every single person in that group. No way. Absolutely no way. And so one of my biggest pain points is I have 30,000 people here, and I only have a product or service that can benefit 10%. There's 90% that I can't service. Now that's not technically true for your product. Like if you have a CRM, right, you can help 100% of your customers, but then at that point there's still a new set of pains that you have. But so does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at this. I call this the Lincoln Murphy came up with this, but it's called the success gap framework. And here on this side, you have an unhappy customer, and then you have a happy customer. And here are all the things that they need to do in order to get from, let's say, no sales to, let's say, just 5K a month in sales. So they can quit their job. Okay. This is the path they go down. So what do they need to do first? One is they need to come up with a product. We're going to assume that Pat here, let's call him or her Pat. They have nothing right now. So the first thing you need to do is come up with a product. Then they need to come up with pricing. Then they need to build a website to sell it. And then think about this. Within website, there's a whole new set of pains that they have to deal with, like setting up the hosting, finding the domain name, building it, putting the images in, So you could dig deep into each one of these and go up. And the further it's like you zoom in and zoom out. I don't know if you've seen those things on TikTok where it's like you see an image and they keep zooming in more and more and more. Have you seen those? It's like, when is this going to end? It never ends. It never ends. There's always going to be like another pain that you can solve. So I think Squarespace is over here. They're in the website solving problem. Like they help somebody get from no website to a total website. But this is the website, right? But there's still all these other things. They need to get customers. They need to need to get a well, I think Squarespace takes care of like their merchant, right? So they don't have
Mm,
to worry about that, but they need customers. Um, they need someone to maintain the website. They need to find distributors for products. Like there's all these other things that they need to do, right?
mm,
So when you look at your product, your service, whatever it is, look at what are the problems they have before, and then what are the problems they have after
mm,
when you solve the problem you say you're going to solve, because those are all potential integration partners.
mm. Was there a
So
third one as well, Aaron? I think when you mentioned that before, you said so before, is it like new problems or something that are created as well? Is that when you mentioned that in the example before? So people before and then people after you solve the problem. Was
oh
there a
yeah,
third one as
yeah.
well?
So there's another one which is during.
Right.
This is like problems that are created during this process. So a really good example of this, and I don't have a better example, but coaching is a really good
Mm,
problem, because the coaching is we'll show you exactly what to do, and we'll hold you accountable. The problem that's created now is I have too much to do,
mm,
and I need someone to do it. So I'm actually working right now with within my company. We have people that are coming in for the coaching program, and they're saying, "Hey, this is too much. This is all great. This is amazing. Like we don't have to hire a professional marketing person anymore, but we just need somebody to implement it.
mm,
Where can we find somebody to implement?" So we don't do that. So we can recommend, here's, go to this person to hire a marketing person, right, to help you implement. That's a good example of solving a problem that's created from the problem that you're solving currently, right? And we have people churning because they have so much stuff to do that they can't do it, right? So
okay.
um, and that's a huge problem for us. So, but it's a huge problem for everyone who has unleveraged assets. So think about your product. What is it? Where is Pat right now, and where does he want to go? So Pat, right now, it could be has no website to has a website. It could be leads being managed in spreadsheets to managed perfectly and knowing exactly when to follow up. It could be, if you zoom all the way out, it could be I have a terrible 9 to 5 job that I want to get out of, and I want to work from home in the Bahamas. And you can take each one of those and zoom in really far, and you can get really, really, and you can the further you get, the more detailed and niche you get, and the easier it becomes to find partners. Um, and um, and the great thing about this process is if you pick the right partner, you don't have to worry about the audience size. You know that they've already built the audience. You know the pain is there. Squarespace has millions of customers. They're all struggling with getting more customers. But not just that, like if you zoom in more to um, what kind of customers. So we help Squarespace websites who sell to B2B get more customers, right? But then there's also the B2C. So you see how you can just keep going further and further and further in and narrow in who do you want to help? Because it might not just be Squarespace customers. It might be Squarespace
Mm,
customers selling to B2C.
mm.
Okay. So does that make sense? Do you guys do you want to go through like a really specific example?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, like maybe just say somebody in StartupSauce that we can maybe just like run through a quick like, what is their
Yeah, so there was one on a mastermind call the other day. Martin from Harvey. So he has a SaaS tool for planning vacations and time off for teams, just to coordinate a little bit better around all that stuff. And so one of the things that he's kind of grappling with is just like how does he get more customers? Because does he just focus in on just solving that problem? Does he need to build additional features to solve more problems, but then that kind of he
Okay.
loses the soul of his product anyway. Yeah, but
Okay, awesome. All right. So this is a real tough one. This is like a real specific one. So this is gonna be a brain buster. Well,
do you
I think we'll
want
get
an
pretty
easy one?
close.
Do you want an easy
Um,
one?
We can, but I don't. If he's watching this right now, he's probably like, no, no, don't switch it. Keep going. So I don't want to I don't want to do that. It's up to you. We can do this one.
Okay.
All right. Planning vacations and time off. So who is his customer then? It's HR teams.
And a lot of small
Yeah.
business owners too. Yeah, a lot of small
Small
business
business
owners
owners.
that they don't want a big, heavy HR SaaS product that is going to be really
Ooh, okay.
expensive and
Yeah.
really heavy to use. But they do need that functionality. It's just that it's to find that functionality. It's a feature buried within all these bells and whistles for much bigger, heavier, more expensive HR tech product. Um, so the fact that it's
Okay.
really lightweight is a major advantage for him. So yeah.
Awesome. So it kind of replaces an HR
Mm.
team or HR person in that, but it doesn't
It's
replace all HR problems, right?
No, I think it's the kind of thing though. If you run a business and you're at the point where you don't have a HR person yet, but you still have HR problems that need to be solved, someone on the team is kind of fulfilling that function on a part-time basis, and so that's really the sweet spot for him. So,
Okay.
um,
All right. Does he have like a specific type of business? Is it retail? Is it, you know?
uh yes, he does, but I don't know the answer to that off the
Okay.
top of
So
my
this
head.
is
I have
where
to.
I'm going to make some stuff up. Then
Yep,
we're just going to have to
yep.
assume like what the ideal client is. But really, we the first thing we'd have to look at is what is the real um what is the pain that he's solving, um and is this a big enough pain that it's going to be easy to find customers. So um if you're doing a partnership strategy like this, I don't suggest doing this if you don't have any customers. Yeah,
Mm.
that's not a super wise thing to do, because um you're when you work with partners, you really have to deliver. Otherwise, their reputation is at stake. I had people come to me and say, "Hey, you want to promote my product to SaaS companies?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. What case studies do you have?" They're like, "No, we don't have any case studies. We just want to promote it to SaaS companies." And I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go to my audience and say, "Hey, check out this new cool product. This guy says it does this. Here, sign up for it." Right? Like, this is partners. Their reputation is way more important than extra revenue. So let's assume that there's a big demand for this product. Let's assume he already has customers, are coming in, but he wants to scale faster, right? So looking at the small businesses who have lots of staff that are in-house, right? So it's not remote teams. Those are probably
Mhm.
physical locations. I'm just making a bunch of assumptions here because I don't really know.
Aaron, sorry,
Um,
I think it's also worth mentioning he has a freemium model. So you can use it for like he has a free version that you can use, and then he has like a professional version that you can use, like a paid
okay, cool. So
version.
he's got a freemium model. All right.
Yeah.
So let's look at why uh let's look at this pain path here. One of the things that a business owner needs to do in order to get from happy to unhappy is plan vacation times.
Mhm.
Okay. um uh I assume, let's make the assumption that the unhappy state is um well, so what I look at is, what are the symptoms of not having a planning tool like this?
Mm.
What are the current symptoms that a business owner sees in their business due to the fact that they don't have something like this in place? Are employees just not showing up on
Mm.
time? Are there like, does he open shop and realize there's like, you know,
Well,
six of his employees have vacation time during that time? Like, what is the, do you know?
yeah, and if you've got a lot of remote employees as well, and you get your wires crossed and you think that they're working that day or that week
Yeah,
and they're
that's true
not,
too.
and
Yeah.
then that person's responsible for doing a certain thing. The emails don't go through. You're going, where is this person? Oh wait, hang on, they're on holidays. I got that messed up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's harder for the rest of the team to coordinate a lot of the time. So work doesn't get done on time, deadlines get
Work doesn't
slipped.
get done on time. Boom.
Mm.
Okay. Work doesn't get done on time. That's a clock. So work doesn't get done on time. And what's the effect of that on the business owner?
Cause a lot more stress.
Yes. Okay. Stress.
Possible loss of income.
Yeah.
Deadlines aren't being met. Loss of income. How?
Because the sales aren't getting done, marketing isn't getting done, the product isn't getting developed, all the stuff that they thought they were on track, they're not hitting the goals that they set. So everything
not following
falls
up with
behind.
potential clients.
All right. So there's lots of problems that you can solve. Let's pick one. Let's pick stress. I like that one because it's a tougher one. So this would be stressed out. Stressed out because projects aren't getting done on time. And this is projects get done on time perfectly every month. Okay. If you zoom out, you could say the sad state is I want to grow my business faster, right? You could zoom out and you could even zoom further out than that by saying like, I don't have a Mercedes Benz and I want to get to a Mercedes Benz, right? Okay, so like the first step is start your own business. Second step is hire. So like you can zoom out, you can zoom in. I keep focusing on that because I think sometimes people get really like stuck on where do I start? Let's just start somewhere. Like let's start the sad state they're at now is they're stressed out because they don't have projects. And what do they want is they want to have. And if you're wrong on this, let's say you're like, huh, man, this is too dialed in. Let's zoom out a little bit. Then that's fine. You can zoom out. So, so projects done on time. So one of the steps they need to take care of in there is plan vacation times. Okay. What is another thing that they need? I'm going to make up some stuff. Need to hire project managers.
Yep.
Or managers. So hiring. Hiring is a big thing. They need to have SOPs in place. They need to have
they need to handle delivery. There's a lot of client management stuff.
Handle delivery, client management.
They need to get the clients in the first place.
Yeah, they need to get clients. Okay. All right, so here's a few. And I don't know the exact path, but this is pretty good. So they're stressed out because projects aren't getting done. So maybe get clients is one of those. Because if they already have clients and they already have projects coming out, then maybe it's more of hiring, or making sure the team is on schedule, making sure that the team has what they need. So it's like coordinating. All right, so let's just say these are a few of them. This is where we fit in, is planning vacation times. And I'm going to assume this is a really big problem. So once everyone knows what everyone else is doing and that solves the problem of like adjusting deadlines and knowing when someone's going to be out and the team not getting frustrated, things are getting done on time. Then they need a way to, I'm just going to say, well, I wonder if, let's see. So now that they have all of these, their team is on schedule and the owner knows who's going to be gone and who's going to be there at certain times. They can adjust their schedules. And I think actually get clients is probably here. Because once they have all that stuff and the processes in place, then they're ready to get more clients because it's hard to scale when you can't deliver. So getting clients and scaling would probably be over here. And then I would say, so let's say that. So anyways, this is kind of their path, right? For your for the owner of this time off and vacation planning tool, the next, so what he wants to do is he wants to get integrated into someone else's product. And so how does planning vacations and time off, the question, sometimes I like the question, ask the question of who else does this benefit in this path here? Who else, what are the companies or businesses or services with this benefit? So let's give an example of
so off the top of my head, maybe something like Trello or any project management tool on the planet, because ultimately like all those, you still need people driving those processes. And if you don't know when those people are, around or off work, you don't want to start a whole new project and then realize that this person's going to be on vacation for the next week. And you get to a certain point where managing that actually becomes a real challenge, especially with remote teams. So
perfect. Yeah. So this would be like any project management, project management or process management or whatever. Because once you have a project management tool, the next problem is, do you have the people in place to actually deliver the project, right? So a project management would be a really good place where I would start. And I would say for him to go to a project manager or project management tools and say, one of the challenges, kind of getting ahead on myself a little bit, but hey, we noticed that one of the challenges we see with project management tools is that once there's a team that's managing the project, things don't get done on time. And when they don't get done, it's really frustrating for them and for their clients, and sometimes they blame you. But we've figured out a way to avoid this. Can we talk about? Would you be open to seeing if we can help? Cool. Right. So I'll get to the messaging in a little bit, but that's kind of how you would do it. This is a really tough one because the more you understand the market and the customer and who you're serving, the easier it is. So this one we kind of stumbled through. This is a pretty good idea of where we can fit this in specifically. Another idea would be who else like sees the effects of a stressed out business owner specifically. Could it be what other companies that they work with, like vendors do they work with? And they're like, yeah, we hate working with our clients because they're always stressed out. Well, hey, we can help your clients be less stressed out by managing all this stuff for them this time off, because we realize this is a big problem, especially if they have over 50 employees in no HR department. Can we solve this for you so your clients are less stressed out, right? I see that like there's lots of ways to think about it. I would start with this path here first. And then and you may not know who's going to be the best fit if you don't have partners. One question I would ask is, who has approached you already asking for partnerships or integrations that you have said no to because you figured you didn't have the capability or didn't know what the benefit was? That's a good place to start when you're looking for partners. I talk to SaaS companies and startups all the time, like, oh yeah, we get approached by this guy and this agency and that person. Hey, do you do white label? Do you do this? Do you do that? And they're like, no, we don't do that. We just kind of brush them off. But that's a good place to start, is those are the people that have the pain. Then they know they have the pain. All right. So let's move on to the next phase here. All right. So now that you've identified like who these partners are, a pretty good idea of who they are, the person that you want to reach out to in the company. I look at who's feeling the pain the most. Another example is I'm working with a client right now who builds dealer locators. It's like where you put your address in and the product you're looking for, and it shows you which dealers have the product available. And it's a really incredible like super complex thing that he's already built. What we've noticed is that when we're going to approach clients, if we look at this like buying cycle, there's a small window where a manufacturer is looking for a new dealer locator. Can you guys guess what that window is? What is that window of time they're most likely to start looking for a dealer locator, which is on their website?
When they're building a website or when they're rebuilding the website?
When they're rebuilding their website. Exactly. So if you touch them all these times, if you're doing all this outreach, you're going to think that it's, not working, when really it's just there's a buying window here. So instead of going to them manually, we're going to the website builders for manufacturers. And we're saying, hey, when you get a new customer, usually they want a dealer locator rebuilt. So instead of doing it yourself, partner with us. We'll do it all. We'll manage it, and and we'll even give you a commission for it for when somebody, or we'll work out a deal with you or whatever. So, so keep in mind that there's a window here that you might have to go to, a buying window that might be really important, and then go to the partner that fills that buying window. Okay, so so now we have some partners identified. How are we going to integrate our product and service into their product or service? So there's really kind of two types of, if you look at the landscape as like a prairie, right? There's two streams that you can tap, that you can go fishing in already. Wow, these are supposed to be fishing rods, but it looks like they're going the wrong direction. Okay. But there's already fish in these streams that your partner has like built, right? And so it's running down here. The first one is buying streams, and the second one is traffic streams. So traffic streams is like when if somebody's downloading a lead magnet or visiting your blog page, like that's traffic that's coming in. A buying or offer is when there's actually a transaction made. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an exchange of money, but it could be exchange of email or whatever. So there's lots of different places you can interject your product. I'm just going to talk about buying right now. Okay, so somebody buys. Let's go back to this. Your example. Actually, let's go back to Squarespace because it's a little bit easier for me. So Squarespace, pay $97 a month. You get your website built. You launch your website, and the trigger point is after the site has been launched. So Squarespace has like their tracking set up, and they know that traffic is coming into the site. So at that point, from a partnership standpoint, you want to introduce something of extreme value that can help their customer get more traffic, but that also leads them to your product. Now, if you have a freemium model, you can experiment with Squarespace will send out an email, or they'll have a little pop-up notification that comes up and says, hey, do you need more traffic to your website? And this is something you can work with a partner. It could be any point at which they have contact with the customer. One thing we're working on right now is within a course. So we're putting one of our coaching modules at the end of someone else's coaching course and saying, hey, you've gone through this whole process. Now that you have this all figured out, here's what you need now, and here's how to do it. And if you need more help, here's how, reach out to us, and maybe we can help, right? And he just drops that into the end of his course. That's it. It's done. And it's an affiliate tracked email or affiliate tracked link. You don't have to do anything. And the course that we're putting in there is really, really valuable. Now, if you have a SaaS product or a startup or whatever, it may be a freemium, it may be a guide. I love stuff like checklists. What I found that really is really impactful is helping them get a really specific result as quickly as possible, so that they see that you can deliver on your promise. So let's say this is the website that you built, and then the offer is how to get 1,000 visitors to your site in the next week. That's much better than sign up for our free blog content platform, right? But it's free. Why would anybody sign up? It's free. They don't want a blog content platform. They don't want a social media management platform. They don't want whatever product is you're selling. They want the result. So if you have some kind of like case study, if you know when somebody launches a Squarespace store and they have products, we know that if they put each one of their products into our platform and create 100 social media images, and they do this and they post them, they'll get probably between 100 and 300 visits to their site. That's what you push out. Okay, get 100. Here's how to get your next 100 to 200 visitors to your site. I'm gonna try to go on a limb and try to solve the problem for the previous one we were talking about, the vacation. Now that you have our project management tool, and this doesn't feel right to me because I don't know the industry well enough, but now that you have your first project in our project management tool, here's how to reduce the stress. Here's how to make sure projects get done on time. Would you like to get your projects done 50% ahead of schedule? Right. And I don't know if they can make that promise, but that's like the next thing is, right. We now that you have our project management tool, here's a free little mini workshop or a free guide. And really what the next step is, hey, you just bought Squarespace. The problem you're probably going to have now is you need to get traffic, or you just got your first project built. Now you're probably super stressed about how getting it done on time. Here, one of the main things we've seen is that the reason projects don't get done on time is because people go on vacation and they leave and they disappear and nobody knows what to do. And here's how to solve that. Let me introduce you to, HR vacation time. So here's what we do. We put in your information, and here's what happens. Instead of the project getting done on August 1st, we know that Sam is going to be gone for a week. So the project gets put on hold that week. And even when you scope out your project for your client, because Sam already applied for his vacation time during that time, like we know it's going to be an extra week. So to push that back an extra week, right? So like that's how you do it. It's like it's a free training on getting a specific result, not on here's why you should try our product. And then from there, so you've delivered something of value. You can deliver, you could create some kind of like workshop or guide on like, here's how to post all these things to social media. And really, we don't really know it's going to work until you test it. But the ideal situation is that you already have a case study. You already know what your customers need to do to get success. And then you push that as the next thing in integration, right? And you could also test, and if it's really easy, right, you could also say, especially if your customers are super product or a solution aware, that means they know they need a content management tool. If they're really aware, you can promote and say, hey, now that you've signed up for Jarvis did this, right? So Jarvis is this AI tool, and when you logged into Jarvis and went to the back end, they said, hey, do you need help ranking your new articles? Sign up for and we give you an extra 60 days for free to help you rank your articles. So it's a little bit more product focused because the customers are really aware of what they need, right? And so that's how you do. There's lots of ways to do it, but the keys are: number one, provide extreme value that makes your partners look good, help them solve the next problem, and next, do all the work for them. Tell them we are going to do everything. We're going to create the video. We're going to create the landing page, affiliate links. Just tell us what kind of content to create or who your audience is, and we'll create it for you. We'll even upload it into your email marketing tool, write all the emails, do all the work for them. And then that'll make sure that for the relationship, make sure that you have a lot more success, because they don't want to have to do any work for it. And then, and again, I'm kind of going through this kind of fast. There's lots of ways to do this. I'm just giving you like one way to do it. But if you approach the right person with the right offer, it's kind of a no-brainer, especially if they've approached you already, or if you've done some kind of partnership with them already, and you're like, I want to take it to the next level. This is the great next level to take it to. And the outreach really isn't that hard. It's hey, Squarespace, we know that customers coming in building websites and they have no idea how to drive traffic. We solve that problem. And we want to give you guys a free training you can give to all of your customers on how to get traffic. Would you be open to discussing that? Right? Would you be open to discussing this? One of my favorite opening lines, like not do you want to become a partner? Can we send you the commission schedule? Can we, you'll notice I didn't say anything about money in there either too. It's like, we'll get you some extra cash. You can make a 60-75% commission. Partners don't care about that stuff. What they care about is adding value and being looked at as the heroes. And then on the side, it's leveraging those resources and adding an extra income stream. Now, I'm using Squarespace because it's really easy, but there's companies who are like a lot further down who would really love to add an extra income stream for not having to do anything, and also provide a lot of value. So my goal, challenge for you is to just find some partners that you think you can work with and reach out and start a conversation. Your email should be no longer than 3 or 4 sentences. Okay. Do not write out a big long thing. Say, hey, we solved this problem. Here, I'll even show you how to reach out to partners. So, hey, we help website owners get more traffic to their site through something we call social media, whatever. We've used it already to generate 6,000 visits for new Squarespace clients. Would any of your customers benefit from more traffic to their site? That's it. Super simple.
I love that question at the end. That's great.
Yeah.
Would any of your customers benefit from spending less time? Yeah, cool.
Would any of your customers benefit from having less stressed out business owners? Would any of your customers benefit from whatever? Such a good, because it's all focused on the needs of their customers, right? It's not, would you like to discuss partnership opportunities? Like, yeah, I mean, sure. And some people would respond to that, but you're going to get a lot more responses if you focus on the pain that they have. So, so my challenge for you is to just find 5 of these partners, and you don't have to get it perfect. Okay. Find 5 of these partners and send them out something like this that doesn't talk about your product, that only focuses on how you can benefit them, and just see what happens. Okay. I have found that once you get on the meeting and show them what you can do and how you can help, a lot of the selling is done. Like, you don't really need to be an expert salesperson. You don't need to have a whole demo process. You just ask, hey, like, what's the challenge? Like, what problems are your customers having? Oh, they're having problems with this. Great. Well, can I show you how we can help with that? Great. Yeah. Awesome. What would make sense for next steps? Like, I'm just giving you like some basic frameworks, but it's really not that hard if you put the right offer in front of the right person. Everything else kind of follows naturally. And once you see some things starting to stick, focus more on that market or partner channel or whatever. So anyways, cool. That's it. Any questions?
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. That was really good. I did have a couple of questions from people in the group, and a couple more that I jotted down as we went through the talk. So the first one is, who is the best person to reach out to about forming partnerships? Is it the CEO? Is it the partnerships manager? Is it if it's a more technical integration, is it the CTO? Like, who within the organization is the best person?
I would start with partnerships manager.
Okay.
Because their goal is to figure out who to work with. their whole, they're good. And a lot of partnership managers are like compensated based on the amount of partnership revenue they bring in, no matter what the partnership is. If they don't have a partnership manager and you're like, you're just going after smaller companies, make a list of the people that are affected by not solving the problem you're solving. Who's affected by, in the case of this dealer locator, who is affected by having to build a dealer locator from scratch during a website project? Probably CTO, right? Oh man, the project manager, because they have to like, and sales too. But each of these have different pain points. The CTO's pain point is we need to develop it from scratch. It takes time. The sales is the price is too high because we have to build, so we can lower the price. We can close more deals if we include this. And then the project manager, and I'm making some guesses here. The best I think you could possibly do is, if you have no clue where to start, is to call up to companies and say, hey, we solved a problem that we think could help your audience and help them have more success. Can we see if it's a fit? Can we learn about, can we see if we can solve some more problems for you? I always keep focusing back on problems because that's what they're going to respond to. And then talk to them and say, hey, is this a problem for you? Do you have to build dealer locators from scratch? Whatever. So you get this data from the customer. You're not making this up. But once you identify these, then you reach out to each one of these and you say pretty much the same thing as we help CTOs of web design companies for manufacturers not have to create a dealer locator from scratch. Would you be open to seeing if there's a fit? Right. And then for the sales, you say, hey, we know it's really hard to sell to manufacturers and there's a lot of competition. We built something that you could deliver to your manufacturers as part of your sales presentation or as part of your offering that could help you close more deals. We think it, and we did this for, Samsung, and their sales team got 20% more leads over a period of a month just by adding this thing. Would it make sense to chat? Because I'm kind of being mysterious a little bit, but you can test different things. Sometimes you can say dealer locator. So that's the answer to that is look at probably the top 3 people that feel the pain the most. What is the pain? How do you solve it? And then say, hey, I'd like to solve this pain for you.
Fantastic. And then second question, do you have time for a few more questions, or do you need to jump off?
Sure. Yeah.
So second question is about maybe some more technical stuff. So for example, we had Adam White who gave a talk a while back, and he's telling us about SEO Jet, which was the previous company that he sold. And he said one of the things that made a huge impact on his revenue is so it was an SEO tool for finding backlink opportunities. And he said one thing that made a big impact for him is that there was a link building company that he partnered up with, and he stuck a button that says like, get them to actually get you the link. And that made a huge impact in terms of his revenue, because he was getting the affiliate commission from all the links that were now being built, not just identifying them, but actually solving the problem, but also which when he explained that, I thought that's a perfect example of exactly what you've been talking about with integrating it baking it into the process. But it was a button that you could click on within his app. Now, is that feels like something that's a little bit harder to ask another company to implement, because it's going to require developers or someone else having to go in and physically make some changes in there. Is that, in your experience, is that something that is worth asking for, or should you go for easier stuff first, and then if that works out well, you can go back to them saying, hey, maybe we can make it even more effective if there was a button or a pop-up or something else in there, or are people pretty receptive to it? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, so that's great. And in fact, that's the level above in this integration is actually, and I don't know specifically how it's working, but it's like built into your product. So sometimes a company will get a round of funding and say, hey, we need this feature to be able to compete or to be differentiator. And instead of building it themselves, they'll just license that technology, and it's all built in, right? None of the customers know that link building tool is not part of his thing. It just happens on the back end. Which is a phenomenal integration method. Most partners will not jump to that level, right?
Yeah.
So you start off on level one, and level one might just be like, hey, can we do a workshop? I want to give your audience 60 days free, which is usually 30 days free of my tool. Can we send out an email to see if they can, that's like really simple, but you work up levels, and getting that type of deep integration, I call it like deep integration, is like the holy grail of automated, like extra revenue that you don't have to work for. That's just like super passive. I wouldn't build a company based on deep integrations, because at some point that company might say, all right, we're built our own tool now, we don't need you guys anymore. But you get 3 or 4 or 5 integrations in there and you make it easy. It's a really great way to do integrations. That's super smart, and I would absolutely advise it if you can get that to that point.
So third question was about some of those unleveraged or under leveraged assets that you mentioned earlier. So can you give a couple of examples of those? So like email list would be the obvious one. But is there anything else? So you mentioned course as well.
So there's a lot of them. It really depends on how big your company is. There's what we call just leads that have shown interest in the tool but haven't signed up. You have expired trials. You have non-converted demos. You have churned users. I think there's a whole business just in going to companies who have huge amounts of churned users and saying, hey, if you have this problem, we partner with someone to help you solve it. Right? Because they're not going to use them anymore, but they might still have a problem that needs solved. So there's churned users. Then you also have like, if they have groups, YouTube channels, TikTok audiences, Facebook groups, podcast audiences, a lot of podcasts. Some companies like Mailshake has a new YouTube channel that's like cold email stuff. If you went into Mailshake and said, hey, one of the challenges people have with after getting cold email is like how to close the deal, right? So let's do a training on like how to close the deal once you get it, right? Just perfect, because they're desperate for content. They need to bring experts in, and you can arrange it so that once that YouTube video is up, it's up forever, and all the future leads come to you, and they get a cut from it. So those are a few of them. I would look at, and even your current customer list, especially your current customers. What other problems can you solve for them? Because they already trust you to solve this problem. So what other problems can you solve for them, or do they have? And that even I think the most under-leveraged asset for most companies is their current customer list, because once they sell one thing, that's it. They don't sell anything else, which is crazy, because if you like go to any other business, their whole goal, like you go to Costco, their whole goal is to get you to go to the back of Costco to buy that $1 chicken. That's their whole goal, because they know that you're going to buy more stuff. If Costco just sold $1 chickens, their whole store is filled with $1 chickens, they wouldn't make any money. They lose money on that first one. If you can figure out a way to acquire a customer, and what's really cool about adding partnerships is it increases your LTV, which means you can spend more money to get customers. The person who can spend the most money to get a customer and still be profitable is going to win. You look at Dan Kennedy, has a lot of really cool stuff about this, but there was one guy who was like really competitive life insurance in a small town, and he made all his money off of life insurance. He didn't make any money off auto insurance. Or no, it was he really loved selling life insurance, but he really hated selling auto insurance. It wasn't like fun, and it was like super competitive. So what he did was he sold his auto insurance at cost, which meant he was the cheapest auto insurance guy around. But once he got him in, he offered life insurance. And because I already trusted him, that's where he made his money. And his competitors couldn't figure out how he was charging so little, because he made all of his money on the back end of the product. He didn't make anything here, but he knows that if he works with good customers, he can offer them other services. So there's a huge opportunity there. Even if you have a SaaS product and you don't know how to sell, if you give it away for free, and then on the back end you have an agency you refer people to actually get the work done for them, like that's a pretty solid like business model that works. So anyways, there's a lot of fun ways to like experiment with this and do it. But these are the best unleveraged assets that I've seen.
Fantastic. Dude, that's a really
Cool.
really awesome talk. Final question. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, or wants to talk to you further, or you mentioned coaching program before, what's the best next step for you?
All right. I would love to chat with you. My desire is to find the best resource for you, whether it's me or someone else. I drink my own Kool-Aid. So I have stuff that could help you if you're in specific situations, but if you're looking for something really specific, I could probably help direct you to the right person, somebody that I trust. And the best way to do that is reach out to me at krall@SaaSacademy.com. And I think that's how you spell SaaS Academy. Or you could just find me on just go to krall@SaaSacademy.com is probably the easiest way. And then I'm also on Facebook. If you just type in Aaron Krall, send me a message.